All right, but before the editing or resizing of images, let's deal with the edit and delete buttons here, because right now if I click edit, this is what I get, and if I click delete, I get a similar thing. So let's fix this so we can edit and delete these images. So excuse me. So what we're going to do is copy the new image section here. So we'll copy the form how it is and the script tag as well. So let's grab that, copy the form and script tag. So here we have a form in here, so we'll just paste that. So this is for the edit section, of course. So let me move things a little bit inward a little and move that back. Okay, that makes it look more organized. So back here, if I click on edit, this is what I get now. So edit image, and I can click to change, but I need to see the old one first. So what I'll do is right here where it says get image, we can put in the row data in there. So I'm just going to say row image, like so. Let me refresh, and there we go. So if I click back, I try to edit this one, that's what I get. So let's back again, let's edit this one and click on it. Let's put in something else. Let's try a JPEG, like so. Now once I hit save, we need to be able to delete the old one, the old, and replace with the new. So we have to go to our admin section, and this is the new, but then we have the edit section, and the part that we need really is the validate. So to validate, we are validating files, so let me put that there. Also we put the ID, though it's not needed, but what's in here, not so important. What's important though is this part here where we upload the image and then put that destination there. So copy and let's paste like so. Okay, so goody. And then what we need to do now is delete the old one, the old file. So the old file is saved in this row that we read before, replacing the new one. So what we'll do right after this, we're just going to say if the file exists. So we check if a file, always check a file if a file exists before trying to delete it. So this is going to be something like this: data row image. If file exists, then unlink that file, like so. Alrighty then. So in order for me to know that this file will be deleted, so what I'll do is I'll click on edit, then I'll open this file in a new tab. This is the file. So once I replace, I need to not see it again. So let me hit save, and there we've replaced it. But then if I refresh, I get page not found, excuse me, which is good. It means it was deleted. So that's good file management right there. So with that in mind, let's deal with the delete section here. So I'm going to go back, and we're not uploading anything, so this is fine. Delete will simply grab the row and then delete it, but we need to also delete the image that was in that row. So once we delete, say file exists, do the same thing and unlink that file. All right, great. Now for the UI, we go back to the gallery.view. I want to be able to see the image, so here I will grab I think, this part alone and replace with a form here. So the form can remain, but let's replace the content except for the delete button. So let's paste that there. So back again, let's try and delete. This is not very well organized, so let's see that. Maybe what we need is a break tag here for the delete button, and yep, let's try this. Okay, much better. Let's put this on the center as well. How did we do that in the other? So it's this one here, text center. So copy that for the form, paste. Let's see if that works. All right, much better. Let's let this guy float to the left. Float start, the delete button, and let's refresh. There we go. So back. Let's try and delete this, but I'll open the file here so that I can see it when it's deleted and then say delete. And there we go. And if I refresh, it's gone. Very cool. So this gallery is working. Now all we need to do is have the images show on the front side. So I'm going to click new and add a new image. So add this one right there. Let me add another new image. Let's see. Any of these really will do. Okay, so there we go. At least we have a few images here, which we need to add right here on the photo gallery section. So we do that on the home page. So I'm going to go to the home view, right? But first, let's go to the home controller. The same way we're getting these social links right here, we should be able to get a gallery thingy going on here. So I'm just going to duplicate this part and change contact with gallery, right? So here it's going to be gallery model as well. And then oops, let's put gallery there as well. Okay, this is fine. Now when we are searching, we're not getting just one row here, we are getting everything. So we just use the find all function, which doesn't take any params here at all. So great to get all the images. So they are inside gallery right now, which means if I go to the home view, where is the gallery? Our photo gallery. So let me copy that so that I can search for it. And there it is. And this represents one element. So all we need to do is replace this image in there, and we are good to go. So we'll put an if statement to check first of all and say if not empty gallery, like so. And then let's put an end if over here. All right. Let me duplicate that and duplicate this, move things in, move those things in as well. And then let's do a for each here instead. Loop through. And gallery as, we'll just call it image. Okay, so one image row over here. This one is an image row, by the way, just so we are so clear. I'll do that. So I'll grab this one row and put the data here. So I'll use get image instead to make sure that it puts that root in there, since that's how we set it up. So I'll put image row with an image column. That's the column I want from there. So wait a minute, there's an image here, but here there's a link. Okay, so this should link to something, I guess. So it looks like the same link here and here are the same. So I'm just going to grab this and put it here as well, just to try and match that. Okay, so let's see what's going on. So if I refresh now, this is what I get. Now, as you can see, these images are not square at all. So they're different sizes. Now, to ensure that they're similar sized, we are going to put a style and say object fit cover. Let's try that. Oops. I think I may have added a bracket here by mistake. So let's see that. Okay, so that doesn't work. The image cover only works if you give it something to work with. So let's give it a fixed height. Since we already gave it 100% width, let's give it a fixed height. So I'm just going to say height 200 pixels. That should do the trick. Okay, there we go. Doesn't seem to be enough, so let's try 400, twice that. Okay, so there we go. So up to you, maybe 300, just to be safe there. All right, I think this works perfect. Click, and there it is. Look at that. There we go. Very cool. Very cool. And wasn't there like a... No? Just me? Seems like there was... and there are like some buttons over here to click left and right. I don't remember this, but let me just try and undo to a point where I deleted everything here. Hopefully I don't lose this information I've created so far, but let's try. Okay, this is too far, so redo just this part here. Let's see what that gives us. So if I now refresh, okay, so this is how it was. Okay, so everything seems to be exactly the same. Let me redo. So I'm redoing here everything. So let's refresh and wait a minute. What's going on? I haven't saved, I guess. Okay, there we go. All right, so at least this part is done. So what we need now is, let's choose one of these that we can do. Let's try maybe groom and bride, this one. Do we have this here? We don't actually have this here. So, oops. We don't actually have this. Okay, so let's look for what we do have. So there's gallery, there's family. So let's see where the family is. So here, as you can see, there are only three photos repeating. So we can simply just add more to fill in the blanks, so to speak. So let me add maybe this one and probably this one. Okay, so let's see how that fares. Okay, there we go. So, all right, so it's working. Good. So what we want now is to deal with family and friends. This one right here. So if I click on family, this is the part that comes up. So here we should be able to add an image, a full name, the title of that person. So, and then a few links here. So these are the columns that we can have inside our table. So let's create the family table here. So we're going to follow exactly the same process and put through here. The only difference with the gallery here is that this one will take in other information as well, but the image thing will remain. So we're better off copying that from the gallery situation. So let's create a table, and first of all, let's create a model for this. So I'm going to close all these files first. So close all files. Then we can create a new model. All right, so if you look closely here, you find that in the public folder is where all the images are going, and this is not acceptable. We should put these in a folder to be more organized, that is. So what we're going to do is, let's delete all the records here. Let me go to my thing here, and I'll delete all of these guys. Okay. This should make sure that all the images are gone, and as you can see, they are gone. But what I want to do is go back to the admin controller. So I'm going into the gallery stage, and right about here. So you see, we're using the folder variable that really does not exist. So this is the problem right here. There's folder here which we never created. So let's create that. So what I'm going to do here in the gallery thing is, whenever we are right here, let me put that right here. So we're going to say folder is equal to uploads with a slash at the end. Now it's possible this may not exist, so we check if it exists by checking using file exists. So we only care if it does not exist. So if it doesn't exist, let's do an mk directory, which is create directory, and we'll put the directory name. Then we'll give ourselves some permissions and put true there for recursive folder creation, which means if you had put many folder names here, like so, it would create all of these just to create this last one here. All right, so we only care if it does not exist, so put that exclamation point there. So let's copy this. This way we make sure the folder exists. So we'll do this on the edit as well, and that should solve our problem, right? Right. Okay, so let's try now and put, by the way, it's always a good idea to try and remove all records and see what you see here. So let's see what will happen here if there are no records. So it's simply empty and we don't get any errors, which is awesome. So let's add a new image in the gallery here. So start with this one. Let's save. Let's create a new. Let's add the same photos we had added earlier. Family members. Shouldn't really matter which photos. This is just to make sure things are working as intended. All right, so let's refresh and see what happens. Okay, there we go. We have an update. Very good. So in the same way, let's make this section here, family and friends. Okay, so to do this will be much easier now, because all we need to do is let's copy everything from the gallery function here, down here, up to right there. So I'll do Ctrl-Shift-D to duplicate. So instead of gallery, this one is family. So I'll replace every instance of the word gallery here with family, hoping that that should be enough. So just make sure you don't move over to the next function, which starts about here. So let's change that to family, like that. Okay, great. So here I'll change gallery model to family model as well, as we are going to create it. Everything else remains pretty much the same. So though we're going to have an issue here, I guess, but we can fix it because we're only sending the files but not the post. So what we can do is we can change the validate function to accept two variables, files variable and post variable, since we're sending other data as well. So let's put post over there, like so. We're going to do the same thing on the edit part as well and leave the ID there still. So do post, comma. That way we send in both for checkups. And then finally, we can deal with whatever comes next here, I guess. Okay, this is pretty good. Pretty good. Now let's create the family model. So we're going to go to models and create a new model, but let's copy gallery model first of all, and let's model new. Let's paste there. And of course, we're going to change every instance of gallery to family. And here, same thing, single, let's do family over there. Let me save this as family underscore model dot php and save. So make sure you do the correct capitalization. Okay, great. So validate here has data, but then we have two forms of data. So let me replace every instance of data here with, I want each one to be specific. So this one will be files underscore data because we're going to put two of these guys. The other one will be post data. So great. That way we have a distinction between the two. And this one remains as it is. Great, great. Create table if not exists. Sorry, family. So we will need that. But here, let's put all the columns that we actually need. Maybe let's start with this side here. So I'm going to duplicate here. So we will need an image, but what we'll need also is a full name and a title, okay, or relationship. We can call it that. So let's just call it name. Name, maybe 50 characters should be enough. This should never be null. And then let's duplicate again. This one will be title, whether the person is a friend or whatever. So let's see here, that's best friend, title. And then there's media links over here. So we have Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and what's this? Instagram. So these are the socials. So let's put that in as well. So I'm going to do a duplicate. These guys are, how many are these? 1, 2, 3, 4 socials. So let's do that. 1, 2, 3, 4. And with this one, I'm going to say Twitter. We can use the link, I guess, since it's already there. Convenient. Facebook link and a LinkedIn link and Instagram. There we go. So these are variable characters. 1024 is fine. These can be null, can be allowed to be empty. Just make sure you remove the comma at the end. We're not going to be searching, but if you're going to be searching for maybe names, these are a few names in this table, so we don't really need keys because we won't really be searching for anyone in this table. It's not like an e-commerce website where you will be doing some searches of some kind also. So let's leave it at that. And so we can grab this and bring it at the top here. So let's paste like so. Let me remove the image since it's already there. Now what I want to do is grab this part, null, and use that. Actually, let's just grab and then do a delete one more time, and then interesting. I want to delete all these at once, but not doing a very good job. Let me try like this. So if I do Shift Control and press End, it should right. I think the control was the problem. So let me undo. Let me do Shift End, I guess. Okay, that seems to work. Except the last one here is messing up that, but I'll fix it. So let's do that and put a comma. Let's press Home and put an inverted like this. Okay, this seems to work just fine. Let's do a Shift Tab, and then let's close this with a semicolon. Okay, so these are all the columns in there. I'm just copying them to make sure I don't actually leave out any of them. So depending on your version of PHP, you may not be allowed to put a comma at the end, but this particular version here, which is version 8, does allow that, so that's fine. That way we can easily just add more columns if we want without worrying about the comma at the end there. All right, so with all this, it seems we are good. It's just that we need to validate things like the name, those that are required. The name and the title at least should be there. So what we would do is I will grab this part that checks if this is empty. So I'll copy this and just paste it over here. And I'll repeat this. Okay. So then I will change files data to post data. So just say post data right there. I don't need to have this name over here, so I'll remove that. Image in this case will be changed to name, and then here we'll change that to title. Let's remove an to a. Okay, so those should be required at least. Very nice. Okay, pretty cool. So our model is done, which is nice. So we can now create a table. But we should be able to move to the family section here. So we need a view file as well. So we're just going to copy the gallery view file from the admin section, copy everything from here, right click on the admin folder, new file, paste, save. And instead of gallery view, this is going to be family view, and save. Great. So let's see what's going on here. We need to change all references to image here. Let's start with this capitalized image. So we change that to family member or something. Okay, great. Then here we'll duplicate that. We'll put title or relationship. That's up to you what you want to name it, but we'll just name it title. So we have a family member, the title, and an image as well. So let's put, you can put these, arrange these as you wish. Maybe the image first. So here as we loop, this one takes in the image. There's an ID, then image. So we'll leave these guys as they are. But then let's just copy this one, put it here. Now let me check if in functions I have the escape function here. Do I? Yes, I do. Okay, great. So we can just simply use the escape function here. Let's do this because names can have strange characters. So let's do that. This one is name, and then the next one will be title. So let's put title over there. Alrighty. Cool. Okay, looking great, looking good. What else do we need to change? For now, this is enough. And yep. But in the admin section here, when we create families, you go to new family model. because this is the first time, I want us to actually create a table. So let's say create underscore table. So let's run that function to create the table. And to run it, we just have to refresh the page. So back to gallery, but let's go to family instead. And so you don't see any errors because the table has now been created. So if I click on Jack and Rose, you see family table here with all the columns and needed. We can check the structure to make sure everything is good, and it does look good. So that's great. So now we just need to add a new one and see how that goes. So now I can remove this create table since we only need to use it just once. So if I now say family member gallery, let's click new, and there's a new image. So instead of new image, let's go to the family view, right? It says new family member. So what's going on? Why does it say new image? Okay, so it may say that because we are referencing the wrong file. So back to the admin section and the family part here, we should change the view file to reflect that. So here's the view, and it's admin family. So yeah, should be correct. Did I change the right thing? Looks like I did. So then why does it write? It's supposed to write new family member, right? But it says no image. This is not cool. Oh, so the link is gallery. Okay, so this is because of the links, I guess. Even when I clicked back, it took me to the image gallery instead of family. So when I'm clicking new, the link takes me elsewhere. It's taking me to the wrong page. So I need to change these links here. So everything that says admin gallery should be replaced. So let me select all of that to replace it with admin family, like that. Okay, cool. So if I now refresh and click new family member, very cool. You can center this text if you want, as usual, by simply putting it inside a center tag, like so. Let's close it here. Let me grab the same one and put this on the add section. Okay, also what we need, click to change the image, no problem, but we need to add some inputs here. So let's close this input. So the type of input will be text, the name will be name, and let's add some classes for form control, like that. Okay, maybe a placeholder as well. So we'll put full name in there, and then let's duplicate this. Of course, we need some space, so do MT3, margin top 3, like that. And then this one is title, or you can say relationship. Okay, so we change that to title, and that looks great. So let's refresh. So new family member, image, and then full name and title. But let's not forget the links as well. So I'll duplicate this. This one is going to be Twitter link, Twitter link, Twitter link. Okay, so just like that, we Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. So let's do Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. finally Facebook. Alrighty then, let's see how well that looks. And there it is. So you write a full name, title, etc. So if I try now to save this, I should get an error telling me I need a few things. An image is required, a name is required, a title is required. Very cool. So let's see how those will be saved. Now, in this case, let's deal with the saving part. So if I go to family section in my admin controller, so where we create a new, this is all good. We validate, and the validation seems to be working fine. And then here is destination, which we end up saving inside the post, and then image. And then finally, we can just save to the post. So the way things are like this, it will actually work without editing anything at all. So let's try. John Doe. Title is best friend. Twitter link. You can put a link to the Twitter. Facebook. I'll just put some random stuff. Let me click to. Oh, by the way, we need to be able to bring back the values. So here we have to put value on each one of these. For when we click and then there's an error, this should give us the old values back. I almost forgot that part. So let's start with name, and then we can put the rest. Name, title. This one is Twitter. This one is Facebook. This one is Insta. And finally, LinkedIn. Okay, cool. That way, when we have an error, like if I try to save now, it tells me an image is required, but my data is safe. So on this one, family member, let's grab this one. Okay, maybe she doesn't look very John Doe-ish. Let's grab this guy and save. So there we go. We have an image, we have family member name, we have the title. So goody here, we can simply click edit, and there it is. So very cool, and delete. Still delete family member back. So let's fix those as well. Let's be able to edit the family member. So if I click, I have nowhere to edit my text, but not to fear. I can simply copy these babies over here and take them to the edit section. So grab here and paste like this. Goody. Goody, goody, goody. Now right here is where we can put our default value, which is what's saved in the database. So we just need to say row and then put a pointer and put the column name. That's it. So here back again, we have title. And once again, we need to type Twitter link and Facebook link and Insta link, and finally LinkedIn. Okay, so just that will give us our old data when we come back. So if I put 2 there, then I can hit save. Now the problem is it's telling me an image is required, right? But it's not required when we are on the edit section. So let's fix this. It was required on the other one. So we go to the model because that's the one that does the validation. So right about here where it says if data, the only way we will know that this is an edit is if the ID is not present. So I'll do this here. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Okay, so let me just put an if statement here and say if not ID. So if there's no ID, then this works just fine, as always. But else, which means there is an ID at this point. So if there's an ID, then we do need to, then all we need to check for is this part right here. Wait a minute, I'm getting confused. An ID means, so no ID means an image should not be empty, it's required. But if there's an ID, then it's not true that an image is required. We should simply check if it's not empty. So I'll grab this part and put it here. So if it's not empty, then let's do this and check if things are good. So if not empty, let's check if things are good, and then we cannot complain if we want. So right here, I can try again and save. Oh boy. See, I forgot one thing. When we save in the admin section here on the edit, we are deleting the old file, right? So we should only ever delete that file if we replaced it. So we should know here if we're replacing or not. So I'll copy this. This only happens if there is a file. So we need to check that a file exists. So I'm just going to say if not empty files image name. So which means there is a file that was posted. So I'll move this up a little bit. So if there's a file posted, we do this. Else there was no file posted, we're going to ignore that. Actually, we don't need an else statement here. All we need is to put this baby in here so that we only replace the old one. We only delete the old one when we've added a new one. So let's see if things work as intended. Let me edit. Let's add the guy back from deletion. Let me edit and let's remove that too and save. See, we don't lose the image now, which is cool. And if we did want to replace the image, let's save it there just so we know it was deleted. And let me put this one instead and let's hit save. And if I refresh, I shouldn't find that. So that means everything is working as intended. Cool. Let's add a female. Let me actually change this image. Problem is I don't really have images, good portraits. So I'll save this. Let's get back here. So this is the list of family members, right? So what we want to do is let's search for this in our homepage. So let's go back to the homepage. Let's do a search, and there it is. Now we just need to identify where the loop is happening. So where the repeated information. So as you can see, there's full name here and there's full name there. So this is the repeat. So this looks like one. Actually, this holds everything. But this right here looks like an item. So portfolio item, there's first, there's second, there's first, there's second. No idea why that matters. Let me try and remove this because as you can see, these guys are not exactly the same. It's good if they're the same, but here they have one class that is different on these others. So let me remove this first and second on the first two and see how different they'll look. So it didn't change anything, so which means that part does not matter, which is good news, because then it would have complicated our code. So here we have all these. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 family members. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, good. So let's remove all of them except one. So I'm just make sure that the opening and closing of each div is deleted together. That way you don't mess up your HTML code. So let's grab this one right there. Finally, there's one more here. Alrighty then, let's leave that space. And just like we did with the other one, let's put in some PHP tags and an if statement that asks, if not empty. This one will be called family, of course. Let's close that. And then let's put an end if statement here. Semicolon. Duplicate and duplicate. And let's do this. Let's change this to a for each so it can loop. Let me move these babies in one more time. The loop will loop family as, I don't know what to call this one. Maybe just row is good enough since it's a row. And great. So now I can grab this for full name here. I can then use the escape, close that, but then I want to do that and say name. Let me grab this. Let's put title here. Very nice. And of course, we're going to put links to these babies. So the links in here as well will be replaced with actual links. So this one says Twitter. So let's do that. Twitter link. This one is Facebook link. This one is LinkedIn. And finally, Insta. Great. And finally, also, we shall need the image. So here I will use get image. And close that. And then I will put this over here. Let me remove the escape. And this part right there. Okay, good. Looking great. Let's try and refresh and see what happens. So groomsmen and bridesmaid not here. So something is up, which means we don't have this record family. So let's create it. This is in the home controller. Just like we have these records, let's also grab family and friends. So let me do this and change that to family. Same here. Let's do family model. Right? Hopefully all this is making some sense. And now we have at least one here, which is nice, but we can't seem to find the image for some reason. So showing us the image. We do know that the image was saved, since if I go back, there is an image there. So, but does it say John Doe? That's great. It does say best friend. So what's wrong with our image then? Let's try and fix this. So say get image. Oh, so it's saying row name. Sorry about that. That should have been row image. And there we go. Look at that. Very interesting indeed. You can leave them like this, but we'll need a fixed height because not every one of them is the same height. So we'll just say height. This one should be I don't know, 200 pixels, maybe 300 pixels. It's quite a large number of pixels there. Okay, good. Now it looks squashed. So let's add the object fit and set it to cover. That way it's not squashed, but cropped. So that's entirely up to you how you want to do this. But let's add one more member. So another family member. This one is Jane Doe. And she's why am I capitalizing this? High school friend. Let's put some links. These are not needed, but there we go. So with that, we can now refresh and we'll find her there. Look at that. Now, if it's cropping too much, you can always increase the height here to make sure you capture the best of each one of these guys. So there we go. Alrighty then. And these links to proper. So at least when putting the links here, it should include HTTP as well to make sure they actually go where they want to go. And also forgot to put the target thingy here so that they don't close this page when they do click. So put blank like that. Make sure to delete those brackets. That way it opens in a new tab when you click on one of these links, like so. Okay, good. So all that's left here is to just add family members, and that is great. Where else can we add here? I don't know. Let's try and say Heather Johns. Maybe this one is the sister. Why am I capitalizing this again? This is insane. Anyway, and there we go. So look at that. Very cool. Now, if you want the order to be different, for example, you want the first one to be last and so on, please remember that we have, if we go to the model, right, we have these guys here, public limit, public order type, public, this one is order type, which is descending. We can always change it to ascending. This is why we put these guys as public so they can be changed from the outside. There's also a limit of 10 records, so you can change that if you want. So how do you do that? So to do, let's go to the home page. To change that, before you actually use the model, you can change some params here. So by just going here, for example, you can say order type and change that to ascending, like so. All right. So if I do that, this swaps the order, as you can see here. So whoever was put first comes first. So that's up to you. Also, you can duplicate this and change the limit if you want. You can say limit, instead of 10, maybe 20 records. But we don't have 20 records, so we can't really know if this is working right now. But that's how it is. And there we go. Look at that. Okay, good. So we've done this part and we've done this part. Now we are left with, let's see here, this part right here. A little bit complex, but we'll do it. So this one is story. So same process we're going to repeat. Only difference is that these are different. So we'll have to use a modulo to look through these guys, because one should be left, one should be right, one should be left, and so forth. Now, before we go a bit further to the next part, there are a few issues we may want to deal with. So for example, you may want to order these differently. So we did order them in ascending and descending order, right? But there may be a problem sometimes. You find that you want to delete this record right here. So you delete this one, and then these become next to each other. So when I add this next, it will be somewhere else. But maybe you want to be very specific on the order of these items. So what you can do is create another column that determines the order. So in this case, let's go to our table. So the family table right here. Let's go to our structure. And let's add one more column here. So just click go here and add one code. Now, instead of just saying order, just put list underscore order. You can name the column whatever you want. It doesn't really matter. So just make sure it's an int column like this. And then let's hit save. Now, since this is going to be used in, let's click there again. It's going to be used in ordering or in the query. So let's add an index. Also, we can add a default value, but I guess by default, it's going to default to 0. So I guess that's okay since it's an int. Right. Okay, goody. So now we have an order column, this one right here. So all we have to do is specify exactly what the order should be. So let's say I want this one to be the first. So I'm going to hit the edit button. So what I would do is right here in the family view file. So we are right on the edit section. I want to add one more. So here what I would do is just to separate these guys, I'll put an HR tag, and then here I will put another input. In fact, let me just duplicate it. Only that this one instead of title will be list order. Like that, okay. The type should be number. You can say the minimum is 0, just to set a few limits. And then you can say the step is 1, but usually that's the default, so we'll leave it there. So let's change this as well, list order. And the placeholder, I don't think we need a placeholder here. Also, yeah, I think you'll leave that as it is. So if I come back and refresh, I get list order here. Now, you won't know what this is for. So let's add a label instead. So I'm just going to say label. Problem is we have a margin top here, so maybe this wasn't such a good idea. Probably margin bottom was better. So I'll just change that. I'll say MB3 instead. So margin bottom, because margin top would move the label higher than it should be here. So you can name this whatever you want. I'll just leave it at list order. You can rename it to what you want. So there we go, list order. You can move this text to, this is text center, right? But what we can do, let's add a class. We'll say text start, and then display block is actually dblock in Bootstrap. Okay, I just wanted it here. Okay, so at least we have list order here. Now, since we added a new column, always remember to go back to the table, the model of this, and add the new column here. Otherwise, it will never be updated. So we'll say list order over here, and then don't forget the create table over here. This is an integer, so I'll copy the int type and say list order over here. But it's not the primary key, nor does it have auto increment. this we can put a default value of 0, and that's all you need. There we go. We can remove the comma and put it here instead. All right, just to make sure that the next time you create the table, it's correct. Okay, so with all this, we should have a list order here. So this one I'll say number 0, or I can say number 1 and save. Now here, we may want to show the list order as well. So family, let's go down to the very view thingy, and after title, let's put list order. And here, or list number, I don't know. You can choose what to name this column. It's up to you. So if I now refresh, you find that everyone is 0 except this one is 1. We don't have this yet on the new thingy there. So what we can do to add it is just to copy what we've done over here. So I just could grab this and put it right above, I think it's above name and title. Okay, cool. Now remember that we don't have row here of a previous, so we just put the 0 as the default value, or 1, you can put whatever you want. That way when I refresh, I have this guy over here. Let's also change the margin MT3 here to MB3, margin bottom 3 instead. I think it will look better. Okay, that's better. All right, so that works. So now this one will be number 1, but these are 0, so they will come first. So I just need to edit this one and say you come second. So save that, and then edit this one and say you come third. So and save. So this is now the order number 1, number 2, number 3. But if I refresh, you don't see a change here. That's because the order column is not correct. So what we'll do is, if you go to the model, the main model here, you see that there's order column that we are using and we're calling it ID. But we can change this. So I'll grab that. Let's go to the home controller. Right here where we're changing the limit and everything else, let's also change the order column while we're at it. Now the order you put these does not matter. As long as you put them before you run this, they will all be updated. So it doesn't matter which one you put first. So we just tell it that the list order is the column that we are using to order. Now you have to be careful with these because these are part of the query. So if you put wrong spellings here, it's going to break your query. If you want to find out if you've put the wrong thing, just delete these and see if the query runs without them, and then you will know they're the problem. So now that we've told it what to order by, what column, it's ordering them as intended, as you can see here. Alrighty then, so that's how you can do that. You can also do that with the photos, just add an extra column and follow the process here. Okay, so with that in mind, let's do our image resizing, shall we? So we need to resize these images. As we've been putting here, these images are quite small, but that won't always be the case. You may want to upload images that direct from the camera, and they're usually quite big. An image should not be more than maybe 100 kilobytes. Anything above that for a website isn't very good because it makes it harder to load or slower to load, so to speak. So what we're going to do is let's create a function that will do that. Now you can create a function or make a model. So I want us to just use a model so that you know how to import classes from external sources, because there's a website like phpclasses.org, I think that's what it's called. If you go there, you can get a lot of classes to do specific things. So in case you get a class written by somebody else that should be used in here, you must put it in the model folder, models folder. So let's put one of our own classes in here and see how that would work. So here I'm going to say, let's put some PHP tags. Let's save this, and we'll save this as image.php. So you can save it as image-model, that's up to you. Usually, depending on what's going on, some of these classes may come with namespaces and all that, so sometimes it gets a bit complex if you're not using namespaces in your own, but I'm sure you can figure that out. So put image just there and save. Then let me put class. Image manipulation class. So this one is just the image class, doesn't extend anything. So class image. Here I just want one function from it, and this one is resize. Now we can make other functions to run here, but this should be enough. So we need to know the file name of the file we're resizing, and we need to know the max that is allowed. In this case, 1000 pixels on either side. So let me call this a public function since we'll be accessing it from the outside. Okay, so this is the limit. Now I've added it here so that it's editable. When calling the function, you can specify a limit that you'd rather have, if not 1000. If you want to keep it at 1000 pixel as the limit width or height, then just supply the file name, and this no need to supply that. Okay, so here the important thing though is to check if the file exists first of all. So we'll say if file exists like that, and then we are good to go forward like so. Okay, if the file exists, we go ahead. If it doesn't, we leave things be. So we're going to replace the same file that we resized when we are done with the resizing. So if things don't work out, we won't resize it. So if the file exists, we first need to determine what type of file it is. So we're going to check for the MIME type. So there's a function that does this. It's MIME content type, and then you put your file name in there. Okay, good. So let's use a switch statement now to check which MIME type it was and do different things with it. So if the first MIME type, if it's none of these, let's just return, exit the function. Otherwise, if it's, for example, image/JPEG, we do one thing. So here we're just going to say image is equal to, so we're creating an image resource. There's a function called image create from JPEG, and we will do that from the file name like so. And then let's duplicate this some more. So there's JPEG, so change these two to PNG because there's actually a function, image create from PNG, and then from GIF as well. And finally from WebP, which is the new format now we have. So there's also a function like that to deal with WebP images. Okay, great. This is looking good. So once we grab this, we have now an image resource which we can use. Now what I want to do is figure out the width and the height of these. So I'll say source width, source W like that, is equal to, there's a function called image sx. So you put the image resource in there and it will tell you what its width is. So just as you may have guessed, there's images y as well. which will tell you the actual height of that image. So what we're really trying to do here is, let me use Paint to explain what we're trying to do. So I'll do Paint. Okay, there we go. My trusty graphics program. So let's say we have an image like this. Okay. So maybe this one is, let's say 2000 pixels by 1000 pixels. Going down here. And let's say our limit is 500. So what we want to do is grab this and make it an image resource, and then make a smaller image here, and simply copy the image from here to there. So this corner will start from here, and this corner will go there, and so on. So we're just creating two image resources, and then copy from one and paste on the other. That's what we're trying to do. But the issue here is we have to know how much to reduce the other one to maintain the ratio. So we know that 1000 pixels should be the limit, but here we have an image with 2000 pixels. So what we need to do is, if the width is the bigger side, we should clamp that to the maximum, which is 1000. And then once we do that, we need to figure out how much we've reduced the width, so that we can reduce the height by exactly the same percentage. So hopefully that makes sense. All right. So let me close this. So this is why I have to get the width and height and know which one of the two is more is bigger than the other. That's what I want to do. So I'm just going to check if source width, if let's say the width is greater than the source height, right? We'll do one thing, and then we'll do another if the opposite is true, or if they are the same. Because it's also possible to have a square image being supplied, which means both are equal. So they will just go to the else, doesn't really matter at that point. So what I'm going to do is, since I know this one is bigger than that one, so I'm going to grab the source height. I need to find a percentage for reduction, okay? So on this one, I need to create the destination width and height from this, okay? So that I know what I should do. So here, first of all, I want to know the ratio. So in this case, this one is bigger, right? The width. So we need to clump this one. And the maximum value is 1000. So we just get whatever the maximum value was given. So the width is high. So that will be its maximum, like so. So destination width will be max, which is high. Now, it's also possible that the image we have, even though the source width is bigger than that, we're not really told whether, let's say, for example, the limit is 1000 pixels. Someone can supply an image with a width of 500 pixels instead. Then we'll be forced to resize it to 1000. Then we're not saving space, really. We've created a bigger image than the original. So we should look out for that as well. So in this case, I'm just going to put a simple if statement and say if source width is greater than max, because we know source width here is the bigger amount. So if source width, the source, is greater than the max, then let's change what the value of max is. Oh, wait, sorry. This should not be for greater, this should be for less. So if the source width is less than the maximum value, so let's say we are saying images should have a limit of 1000, but it turns out this one is a width of 500, then let's reduce our maximum to match this before we use it for any calculations, right? So max is equal to source width, like that. Okay, great. Now we can then set the destination width to max, whatever that value is. But then let's discuss the height. How much should the height be? We should now figure out how much we've reduced the width to match the maximum, and let's reduce the height the same amount. So to do that is simple. We use percentages, right? So I'm just going to do this. We know that the height is smaller at this point. So if we do height divided by width, we're going to find a percentage of reduction. What the ratio is between the height and the width. And once we find that ratio, we can then multiply that by max. Okay, that's to find the height. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, yes, we multiply that by max, I guess. Yes, because max is the width currently, right? So it's as good as multiplying it by destination width, which is the same thing because these are equal anyway, so it doesn't matter. So yeah, once we multiply by that, this should solve our problem. Now the opposite should happen on the other side. If it's the other one that is greater, what have I done? Okay, there we go. So if the opposite is true, we're using source height now, since we know height is bigger. So we do h and max will be equal to the height. And then here height will be equal to max. Destination height. How about destination width? Here, because the width, the source width is smaller, we put it here, and here we put height. So that's all we do. And now this gives us the values of what we are supposed to use. Now, once we have these values, the function itself that the function that actually resizes the image is very simple. It's just one function. It's called image resize. Actually, it's image copy resampled. That's the one I use anyway. I think you can use another one. Resized, I guess. I don't know, but I never use those. So the thing we need to provide, it's just that it needs a lot of params to be provided. So it's like this. Now, lucky for us, we already have these. We've created this. As you can see, they are all there. So all we need to do is put $signs on these to convert them to, we don't have, oh, we do? Source Y? Okay, so I was using, wait a minute. Yeah, no, we have these here, source width and source height. So let me put $signs there. Problem solved. But there's this here, destination X, Y. This pertains to where we want to paste. Maybe on the destination image, you may want to copy, because with this method, it's possible to copy two images from separate resources and paste them on the same output image. So you may want to paste the first image on the one corner and paste the other one on the other corner in case you want to create that photo album effect that we see maybe on Facebook. But in this case, it's all 0, 0 because we want to paste exactly on the start corner and on the end corner. So all that goes to 0, 0, 0. The source image in this case is the image resource, so we called it image. And we don't have destination image. So we actually need to create an image resource from scratch here. And we can do that using image create true color. Like so. So you just need a width and a height. So in this case, we know the destination width and the destination height. So destination width and destination height over here. And then we're going to call it destination image, like so. Good. So we've created that, and then now we've copied the image from this one to that one. Very nice. Now there are times, especially if the images are from a camera, you will see that the they may come rotated in one corner or the other. So I have tutorials on how you can reorient your images and stuff. So check those tutorials on my, it's just one line here, but there's a whole piece of code which helps you to determine how oriented the image is and how much you need to reorient it back. So you can check those out. And once we are done with this, really, we just need to save now. So here we have no use for this old image. So we can simply destroy it. This is very important, to destroy the image. So we'll say image destroy image, because we don't need that. We've already copied its content to another image. And then finally, we can save this to a JPEG. Now, if you don't want to save to a JPEG, you want to save to the original file format, no problem. Let's use a switch statement again. And let me put that here. Now, in case none of these work, we'll just save it as a JPEG. And we do that by saying image JPEG and then destination image, right? This one right here. Hopefully I've spelled it correctly. Now, this image like that, we have to provide a file name. So the original file name will be replaced. You also need to provide a quality. Now you can put 100%, but I find that 90 is all right. Now you can experiment with this quality size and then also the maximum resolution that you want to use. So maybe you can reduce the resolution, increase the quality a bit until you find a good value for your images. Maybe it will limit this to, let's say, 100 KB or 200 KB. You can do some experimentation and figure out what's good. And so I will copy this, which will be exactly the same for JPEG. But for PNG, of course, it's image PNG. You may have guessed. So same things here, exactly the same. The GIF as well. I don't think GIF has quality there, so we can just remove it. But there's image GIF as well. Just like there's image WebP as well. So let me paste this here. I don't know if this one has quality also, but you can leave those quality values if you want. They won't do any harm if they don't exist, so no problem. Okay, so yeah, this is the resize function. Great. So we have our class that is working. So we just need to instantiate it and then run this resize function there. Pretty good. So we're going to know things have worked if we don't get an error or we have the image working. So let's say, for example, let's go to admin section and family members. So right here, after you've created the destination, you can simply say image class, maybe you can name it that, is equal to new image, like this. And then we can say now image class resize. And then we know the file we want to resize is inside the destination. Then we can put max, let's say 100 pixels, just so that we know this is real. This is on the new, right? Actually, I will leave it out on this one. I want to do on the edit so I can do some experimentation. So I'll copy this and come to the edit section and do it. I can do it either here or before or after, doesn't matter. Still the same image, but here I want to just reduce this to 100 pixels. So let's test this. I'm going to go back here. Let's add a new family member. And let's put any of these images, really, doesn't matter. I'll just type some gibberish because I'll delete this anyway. And then I'll hit save. So the image is right here. Now, I want to know what the name of this image is. 16638. Okay, let me try and find it in here. So there's the uploads folder now. This is not the image. This is the image. So say open containing folder. That way I can see the resolution. And the dimensions are bigger than what I expected. So there's 450 by 252. So something didn't work here. Oh, that's because on the add, sorry, that's my bad. On the add, I didn't put 100 pixels. So let's try on the edit. So everything is correct. Let's try and edit the same image, replace the same image, and hit save. So as you can see, it's even blurry now. So clearly I can tell it's no longer the same resolution. And if I click on it, you see the maximum resolution is 100 pixels. So I can remove this to keep it at 1000 as the maximum, then edit, and let's add it again for better resolution and save. That looks way, way better now. So if I now refresh, where is this? We'll have one more family member here. It's that one right there. Okay, goodness. Very nice. So let's copy all of this and add it to this section right here. All right, so that event is story here. So if I click on story, we don't have a page yet, but let's create that. Now, the advantage with the family is that most of what we did here is very similar to story. If we come back here and look at this, there's a title. The only difference is there's a date. And then there's, what's this here? Some story description, okay? So we have 3 inputs here plus 4 with the image. So since the other side also carried an image and some text, it's going to make things a whole lot easier. So let me click on the story thing and let's copy the files over. So again, it's the same exact process. So let's go to family right here and make sure we grab the entire function up to here. So I'm going to select all of this. You can start selecting from the top. Let me duplicate this. So make sure you don't go to another function here. So let's go Control Shift D to duplicate. There we go. And then we get to story. So here I'm just going to change every instance of family to story. Control B. Now when you're changing these function names, just be careful not to use keywords from PHP. So sometimes it helps to put underscores and the like if you're not sure about a word, because it may be a keyword or something. Okay, so let's go all the way down up to here. So here I'm going to type story to change that. Okay, so here this one will be the story model, like so. Okay, let's get back here and see this. So everything else stays exactly the same, pretty much. Yep, we'll have very little to change here at all. Okay, so let me go to the view file of the family view, copy everything, Control A, copy, and then create one more in the admin folder, new file, paste, and save this guy. So instead of family, we replace that with story. So let's put that there, story view. And let's change every instance of family here to story. Let's just start with that, then we can edit things. So we don't have member here because these are just stories. So let me select all instances of member and delete that. Okay, great. So that should do it. Yeah, this can work actually. Story gallery like this. So there's an image here, but what's there? There's a story title. Let's come back here. So there's a title and a description. Those are the two things plus date. So let's start here. I'm going to say this image, we'll leave that, and then we'll say story title, and then we'll have description here. And you may want the list order as well there, so we'll leave that be. And after the description, we'll have that date, like so. And let's save. So the same way we repeat this down here, we'll leave the ID and the image as they are. And here we'll have title. And this one goes to description. For the column names, it's always good to keep them as short as possible. Let's duplicate that, date, and then we'll have list order. Let's put that date here. Okay, pretty good. I think we got them all. All right, so that's nice. Now we have this redirect to family, so let's change all of that. I'll select admin/family and select all instances of this and change this to story. Becomes admin/story. Okay, what else do we need? So now we just need to make sure that the inputs are correct. That's what I wanted to say. Okay, so let's refresh here and see what happens. Oh, we don't have the model, so I forgot that part. So here we go family model. Wait. Family, we're copying this from the family template. So let me copy everything from family model, new, paste, save, and we'll save this instead of family model. This one will be story model, and save. So in another tutorial, I'll show you how we can avoid putting the story-model so that we have just story as a PHP class. As long as it's in the models folder, they need to be in a different namespace. So we're going to change our MVC to accommodate namespaces eventually. So let's do this, story. This changes to story as well. All right, so let's look at the column names. So title remains because it's there. Let's change name to description. Description. We don't have these, so we have date instead. So there's image, title, description, date. The rest are not required. We have list order, so let's keep that one. Very cool. Let's go down here and do a similar thing. So title, let's just change the order, and this description. Now, depending on how long you want these stories to be, you can put this at 10, 24, or if you want really, really long stories, you can put just text like this to accommodate all kinds of text. Now, text can accommodate any size of document. So it is up to you how you want to deal with that. But for me, it would just be a small description. I can actually put 2048 like that, 2048 characters. That's fine. There's an image. Let's put a date here. Now, date is of type date time. That's the one we want to use. Now, if you want it to be writing the current date, right, you would say default, and then you say current underscore timestamp, like so. So if you do that, so if you do this, then every time you edit or create this one row, it's going to add the current time by default. That's not what we want here. We want to leave it to be able to get empty values, but of course we will put some value there. We want the user to be able to choose exactly the date that these people met and so on. So let's see here. The rest of these are not needed. We can leave the list order, so we can order as needed. And of course we change the word family to story. Okay, goody. So title is required, yes. We do need a description as well, so let's do description. The rest of these is for the image, so this is cool. We'll leave it as it is. Yep, I think that sorts out the problem. Also, in a future tutorial, I'm going to show you how to add extra functions that will run within a model. When you read from the database, when you write to the database, you can choose to run an extra function after that. Sometimes that is helpful. Okay, good. So from this, we should be good to go. Let me try and refresh and see what we're lacking. So it's saying the best table, Jack and Rose DB.story does not exist. So what this means is that this table story does not exist on this database. So, which is true, we haven't created it, so let's do that. We'll have to go to the story page itself in the admin section. This is story right there. So here where we declare story, let's create our table by telling it to create a table. So say create underscore table. Let's do that. Okay, we just need to run that function once, of course. And that does it. So there we go. And let me remove that because we don't need it anymore. All right, so we have a story thingy here. We just need to start creating some stories. So I'm going to click new to create. So new story, very nice. So of course here we have this, they first met here, first date, proposal. So we're going to copy these guys here. So let's try and see what's happening here. So I need to change these inputs to reflect what we are doing. So let's go to our story view page right there. So let's start with the add new story. So we have everything is good here, except we do need a title. So I'm going to move this up. And here we need a description. So description is better in a text area. So let's put a text area instead. We'll copy everything over. So like, for example, this old. And before I do that, let me just change this to description. Same here. And what else? Placeholder. I'll say story. All right. So what I'll do is just move things over. So text area's value is in between. We do need the name and the class and the placeholder. So all these babies should move to here. Then we can remove this one and we should be good. List order is fine. These Twitter handles and all that we don't need. So let's grab all of these guys and let's remove them. Let me move this guy up here. All right, but we need a date as well. So what I'm going to do is duplicate list order. Let's duplicate maybe this one. I'll move it. This way is fine. So let me change title to date. All right, just like this one here. Date. Okay, great. Now type here, there is a date type in the HTML. I'm not sure how to use this, if it will be a valid date, but we'll see. Okay, so there is month, day, and year. How? This is not really the format I have, so I don't even know how to put a default value here. Incredible. Anyway, this is fine. We'll see how that works. Now, here on story, if you want to put many rows, we can do that. Let's where is the story? Right here. You can say rows. Is it? Yeah, it's rows. Let's put 6 for now. And you see, excuse me, it grows bigger. Then we have the list order. Oh my goodness, something on my throat. So let me click here and let's do one where there are two people somewhere. They first met here, maybe, or here. Well, let's open that. So this is where they first met. Yes. And let's put a title. If we click on date, we can actually add a date. So let's say maybe they met in September. And let's say title, first met. The story, I don't really have time to type a story, so we use lorem ipsum here. Let me paste. And the list order is 1, because this is the first part. So let's try and save this. Yeah. And there we go. So very good. The date here is not so human readable. So what we would do instead is on the display, let's go down here to where the list is. I'm not sure if inside functions we created this, but we can create a function called get, the same way we do get image. We can have one get date. So let's do function get date. And then we'll say return date. The type of date, small letter J, capital S, and then the month, and then a comma, the year. That should do. Yep. We don't need the time. So actually, if you don't need the time on a date, when creating the date column here, where is this? Instead of date time, you can simply say date. So that way you just keep the date and not the time. Right now it's keeping the time, which will be useless because we don't really need that, but still okay. It's not a big deal. So here we're going to supply a valid date, but then we want to convert that date into a readable format. So the date function will do that. So if you put the date and tell it what format to show it, so this is year, month, the number of the day in small letters, and then this one represents the or third, or that thing you put after a number like this, or 3rd of October, or 2nd, like that. That's what that represents, the S. So with all of this, now if you needed to show the time, you'd say hour, minute, and seconds, like so. This character you put in between is up to you. You can put any character there. You can even do it like that if you can still see what's what. So what matters is the right characters there. So now this function does not accept a date like this. It accepts a timestamp, which is in seconds. So let's convert this to one of those. So we'll say instead of string to lower, it's string to time, like that. Okay, great. So now if I use get date on the story, where is this? Instead of just echoing date like this or using escape, I'll use get underscore date. So this will move us from this to something like 3rd September 2022. Okay, very good. List order 1, a description there. This is when they first met. Great, right? Now we should be able to edit this. So let's try and edit. Excuse me. So if I click edit, this is what I get, but the rest of these are not great. So at least we have title. So let's move back to the top here, and instead of retyping everything, we can simply copy up to here. Yep, copy all of that. Let's go to the edit section. Then right here, we will replace, paste, like so. And let's remove this break tag. It's already here. So the only difference now is I need to put something here, a default value. So let me select and paste. Oh, mistake there. This one is title, but the other one is date. I don't think this will work, but we'll see. And here, put a row, a list order, and what else? Description right here. And there we go. Pretty cool. Okay, so let's refresh, and there we go. So that's what we have. This is what I was scared of. You know, I've had to do this once, but since I did it once, I never really repeated. So it's not stuck in my head yet. So what we can do is we can Google how to actually, what format to give this. So what we can do is we can say JS date, set date to date input or something similar. Let's see what results we can get here. Set date in input type date in JavaScript. Yeah, let's see what others have to say about this. So when you're coding like this, Google is definitely your friend because you can't afford to remember everything. So of course, at some point, you are going to need to see what others have done in order to figure out something. So this is going to take a while. So I'll leave it be for now. I'm going to leave it be. So the reason is that it probably can't tell the date format and stuff. My internet is really bad. But while we are doing this, we can still make some more of these while we deal with the edit. Okay, while I wait. Oh my goodness, look at that. That's how long it takes. Anyway, my router is quite far, so maybe that contributes as well. But looks like it's going to work anyway. So if I click edit, everything will work just fine except for this part right here. So let's click back here while we wait for that. Now you can always get some JavaScript external libraries that deal with date time, so you can have a nice date picker. So you can download, just Google free date picker JavaScript. You will get some that you can actually use. So let's go to delete and see if we can delete. So I think this is good enough. Maybe we can just put title down here and forget about it. We don't need to show everything when we're asking somebody to delete, because they really already know what they're trying to delete anyway. So we just need to show them maybe the title. So I'm just going to grab this from the edit section, the title, and put it right about here. So just after the image, right? Let's do that. Now I wanted to leave some space at the top. So instead of this, I'll do margin Y to have the same margin top and bottom. And then also, maybe it would be better to make it a div. That way it's not an input of any kind. So I'll make it a div, and then I'll move this. I don't even need to use this old value. I can just grab that and put it in here. Oh wait, I need these PHP tags, so why not? Let me just do that and leave it be. And of course, I may need to escape it, so I'll do escape in here since this is not an input, right? So let's grab the classes so that it looks pretty much the same, and let's remove that. Okay, so at this point we have a title. There we go. So you want to delete story. So we need to ask the question. I don't even know why I didn't add this part earlier, but we need an alert here. So let's do class alert danger, and say, are you sure you want to delete this record? Question, exclamation point. I like it when the text is in the center. And also let's add some margin, top and bottom there. Maybe 4 is too much. Let's try that. Okay, so let's refresh, and there we go. Are you sure you want to delete this record? And then you can either click delete or back. Very cool. That should work. Let's see if any of these came through. Okay, so there we go. Set date in input. Let's look at our options here. This one looks like, oh boy, just as I thought, this is a complicated problem. Insane. Wow. You know, PHP is so much easier than this. Let's see, date picker, value as date. I think this is what I used. Value as date is equal to date. Let's see, get by ID. So we grab this and then we say value as date is equal to, oh, right. You know, let's come back here. Maybe this doesn't work on all browsers, so you can test it out. Let's go to the edit section. I think I remember what I did. So if I click, I go to the edit. Instead of putting this as value, you say value as date, like this. So let's try this. I think that's what worked, instead of all this complicated stuff I'm seeing here. But let's try. Crap, that didn't work at all.